This is Mercedes' answer to a 7-seat car. It's one of the very few 7-seat cars you can buy in the market that is fully electric today. It has, of course, a petrol and diesel version of the car as well, but this one is rounded off and changed up, but it has full batteries under that floor under there, and it can do about 400 to 450 kilometers on a tank. But better than that, I've done 1,000 kilometers at the wheel of this car over the last week just to see what your infrastructure is like and just to see can it be done in a car of this size, because it's not the biggest battery in the world, but yet it manages to be very efficient all the same. Stick with me, let's find out all about a Mercedes EQB. So how you know you're driving electric, of course, because this is all plastic across here and it's completely filled in. There's no air vent, there's no holes here. Same underneath here as well. This Mercedes logo is actually heated on the inside, and that's where all the sensors are for the active cruise control. It all transmits through this. You can't actually see it, but they heat it so it doesn't freeze up. You don't lose your ability at nighttime or daytime, even in the ice or snow. And across here is a little light bar on both sides, and then you're into the bonnet part. Under the bonnet, there's no frunk. It's just an engine underneath there, or just, sorry, it's just the bits of the motor underneath there because it used to be the engine. The only hint you know other than that it's electric is because it has little blue hints on the lights. So this is the back end of the EQB. They put a light bar across the middle. They moved the Mercedes logo from up here to down here. So when you press that, it's actually the boot opener. EQB 300, this one is. There's a 350 as well, and it's 4MATIC. This is the boot. Actually quite a big space. I think it's 395 in a 5-seat version, or maybe it's 360 in a 5-seat version, 395 in a standard car, petrol diesel car. This one will be a bit smaller because it is 7 seats. That is a granny cable charger. That is a set of type 2 charger thing. This is a mat. I'm not sure what to do with the mat. Then you have the seats, right? So you catch the seat here, you pull that, and that's supposed to come up. No, that's not going to happen. Hold on. Okay, move that row forward a small little bit. Now we come around here and we go, no, that's not going to work. Hold on. Do that, pull that. There it is. There's one seat up. Good stuff. That's a good start. No, it's stuck on that other one now. Don't worry. We'll get it all sorted out. Get it all sorted out. It'll all be okay. It'll all be fine. Still working. Don't worry. It's not as bad as it seems. There's the other seat up. Okay, so there's 2 seats up. So you're left here with about 200 litres, I'd say, of usable space, which you can put your cable back into as well. But you still do have a little storage bin underneath here as well that has things like first aid kit and a yellow jacket and a triangle, a warning triangle. There's a lot of empty space as well in there where you lose things in it. So your cables can go in like that and like that. That leaves a little bit of space there for the mat, which we'll like that. There's no actual room for my camera bag, which is over here as well. Like, there's that and that and no. Plus this tonneau cover. It's small. Let's just say it's small. Tell you what, let's have a look at what happens on the inside of the car, because this is better than it looks. Just saying. So inside the car, and I've driven this for 1,000 kilometers, so there is dirt everywhere. Anyway, I get a standard Mercedes steering wheel. This one is actually very pleasant to hold on to. It's a nice thing. And I have these little touch screens on the front and volume on this side, and active cruise control on the other side, which I think that was a tonneau cover falling over. Mercedes don't put gears. The gears are up here on the top where they normally are. It's just RNDP. And then you have physical controls here for the air conditioning. And you have this big screen across the middle, which is actually 2 screens in one that you start the car with. Then you've got all your little navigation stuff. The car is fully started now. It's running, get blue lights around here at night time, this kind of goldy colour across here. It's very pleasant. Mercedes' own interface is actually okay. It's not bad. Sometimes just suddenly it'll become laggy on you. Just suddenly, it just doesn't open something very quickly. Figure out consumption and all that kind of things. Right now, so average from the start has been 19.8 kilowatts. It's about 19 forever, actually, is what it does. It's about 19 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers, what it does on average on a long drive. You can get about 400 kilometers from this, as long as you don't want to go fast or use the heater or the air conditioning. Then you'll have to consider turning it down a little bit. But other than that, the actual energy from the car is pretty good. This does have air conditioning. It has all the usual doodads. There's USB-C. There is big storage bin in here, which I actually put my sunglasses in, and some keys and charger pad things. You have the pad here in the back, which I find a bit frustrating, because if you have a cable and the cable lies on a pad, you're actually doing things on the screen. So the cable touches the pad at all, you're actually physically touching things on the screen. It's kind of weird that way. But it's actually a very pleasant place to sit. The seats are fairly wide, they're not massive. One thing I will point out is this affects the front and the back of the car. Because of all the batteries under the floor, your feet are actually a little bit higher. They're a little bit higher on things. And the reason they're a little bit higher is simply because the thickness of the batteries under the floor. Now, it's not quite as bad as someone like Hyundai, who make the Ioniq 4 on top of, where there's so much stuff under the seat. They put the seat up really high, and so you're touching the roof. I've actually got tons of headroom here in the front. But you can see as we go backwards now, the headroom will get a little bit less with every step we go back, because there's more batteries under the floors and under the back passenger seats than under the driver's and passenger seat in the front. Still, it's one of the only 7-seat cars you can buy in the market today that is fully electric. Just have a little look at the back seat and I'll show you, demonstrate what I mean. Okay, so in the back seat, you'll note immediately that my thighs aren't touching the bottom of the seat squab at all. Not anywhere near it. And that's because there's more batteries under the floor of this, and it's making me taller. It's making my feet up higher. Now, that's not to say it's uncomfortable. It's not. I still have much more headroom in this than I would have in Ioniq 4, maybe even Ioniq 5, or the Kia EV6 would have that same sort of driven up problem, because there's just so much stuff under the floor. Where it usually becomes most prevalent is in the Mustang Mach-E. That said, back seat is fine. I have the 7 seats up, so I actually have the seats driven forward a bit in here, so that's why I'm a bit closer to this. I could actually get the seat back a bit and make more room. See, bigger than you think. Or you can let it forward and just go, let's just make the people in the back really comfortable. So it does slide forward and back. There is armrest here with cup holders in it. It's got all of the good little bits you want in it. This is 60/40, is it? No, it's that. That lets that down flat so you can see into the back, and I can climb in there too from that. If I wanted to, I could climb in between the two of them, but we'll have a look at the back seats now. But just bear in mind, when you're looking at electric cars and you're deciding to buy one, sit in all the seats, because sometimes you end up like this with this is not touching me here. It's not very comfortable in that respect. I prefer to have a little bit of support under my thighs and have the seats a little bit upright, so the batteries here are actually pulling some space away, but there's still plenty of headroom though. Anyway, let's look at the last row of seats, huh? All right, I've had a poke about. So the way into the back seat is to pull the top of this here. It falls forward, and then you push that forward as well, and then you've access in the back. But actually, there's 2 ways of moving that seat around. The seat's actually quite useful, because you can just pull this and it just drops the seat flat if you want to do the flat thing, right? That's not to say to get your access in the back. It's to show you there's 2 ways of doing it, but to get that level is a bit of a problem. But anyway, let's do it the proper way. Push that forward. Now, I have to do the Jenga thing. God, I'm too old for this crap, you know? Really, God damn. No. No, I ain't gonna fit with that seat now, because my knees are actually, look, my knees are level with this seat. So that isn't gonna work. If I pull that seat back in position, it's bolt upright, you know? This would be an occasional 7-seat. My daughters would fit in this. I have young teens. They'd probably fit there, but I wouldn't. As an adult, you just about, if someone moved that forward, I could get home. Like if I was stuck, I could get home. But that's about it really. I don't need to do any more than that. This goes where you could get that out of the way, make some more space back here, but that's really it. Yeah, it's a 7-seat in the fact that there are 7 present seats, but I'm not sure of the usefulness of that 7-seat in everyday life if you're actually carrying 7 adults. Okay, let's turn it back into a 5-seat car, which should be easy enough, I hope. Pull, no, I didn't pull that. Pull this one. Oh, that drops, that's handy, yeah, that's easy. And then we pull that red one there as well. Ah, yeah, that's simple enough. That's all very straightforward. Then we put our mat back in, because Mercedes gave us a little mat to cover over the gaps in the seats. We throw in our cables on top of that, and we're back up to full size. Well, no, I had to put a ton of cover in. I didn't break it. Top. Let's go in there now, in that way, and in that way. Ow, my finger. Oh, that hurt. Seatbelts get in the way. They have little ridges there, don't they? Put the seatbelts away into little catches. And pull a ton of cover shut. Ah, man, I'm like an expert. You'd swear I've been doing this before, wouldn't you? You'd swear I knew what I was doing. Let's go for a spin. So, driving an electric car is not like driving, you know, your average common or garden petrol diesel car, because in your brain you're always thinking about the charge points. Now, I've been driving them for, I don't know, a long time since I've driven the first electric car on this channel. The first video on this channel was Nissan Leaf, but I wasn't driving it, it was just a launch of it in Ireland. But since then I've driven every electric car in the market, every one of them. And most of them now are come with features like this tells me where the local charge point is. But not only that, if I set a destination that's too far away for the charge, it will take me by a charge point, just build it into the journey. Like I just set a destination this morning up to Northern Ireland. And it was going to take me like 4 hours. It was counting in a 25-minute stop at an Ionity's charger, which I did use Ionity recently. Exceptional, really good. This charges at 104 kilowatts. It's just above the 100 kilowatts, so it does actually charge at rapid speeds. That's as fast as it gets, mind you. Now that's worth remembering, because there are 2 kinds of charge. The onboard charging facility is another thing that will slow down your charge. There's a video here. You want to find out all about how your car charges. It's in a video I've made there recently. So onboard charger on this car won't let you charge at 22 kilowatts at a 22 kilowatt charger. So at an AC charger, the max you're going to get out of it is 7.4, which is home charger speed. So if you pull up to a 22 kilowatt hour charger, it'll still only charge at home speeds. That's a bit of an issue, I think. That's worth asking. If you're in a dealership and you're buying an electric car, ask about the AC charging. What is the fastest? Because you will find towns in Ireland that only have AC chargers. You will find chargers in towns that don't have any chargers, where you'll be relying on plugging into a 3-pin plug somewhere. This has let's say it's a 66 kilowatt hour battery. And it does a really good job at moving along in the right distance for 7 seats. Now, we loaded it up and went down to Tipperary for a little break down the Killarkin Hotel. It was lovely. We had a lovely time. Laura and the team and everybody down there, they knew who I was, and they were looked after us so well. They really did. They even moved us into the bridal suite, and it was gorgeous. But we went down to one of these. Now, they don't have a charge point at the hotel, so I had no opportunity to charge at the hotel. So day one, let me just fill you in here. Day one, I'm going to bring a map up on the screen. We're going to go all the locations of it. So day one, I have 100% charge in the morning. I go from Portlaoise to Wicklow to meet Dave O'C from Dundee to make a film on the Dundee channel. Find a link up there. So we made a film up there about this car and about another car that Dave was driving as well. Then I drove to Portlaoise, picked up the family of 4, so there's now just the wife, 2 kids, and all our baggage for a couple of nights away in a hotel. And we drove to Killarkin Hotel. Straight down, no stops, no charging. Got there, I think I had 20% of the battery left, something like that. We stayed the night, didn't worry about charging on it because there's no chargers in the hotel. So the next morning we got up, we went to see the Mitchelstown Caves, and then we went to Cashel, where we got a charge on Ionity. So we went from, I think, 10% of the battery left to 94% charged in about 30 minutes or so on an Ionity charger. Really good, furiously expensive, but really good. If you're going to use it once in a while, it's fine. Then next day, so that was that day, we went off, we had dinner then that night in Cashel and all, we did all sorts of stuff. Next day, we again still couldn't charge in the Killarkin Hotel, so we got up and we went to a little kind of driving tour of the area, had a look around, went over the V, the pass called the V in Tipperary, over to Clonmel. And in Clonmel, we found a 50 kilowatt charger in Clonmel town, plugged in there, went off for a walk, got a cup of coffee, lovely bakeries and things in Clonmel, really bustling little town, worth a visit. Then we went back to the car and it was at 100% charge and we drove home. And that was all the charging we did. But we did have to charge, because of the range of the car, we did have to charge on the journey. And because we couldn't charge at the hotel, we definitely had to rely on the public charging. Public charging all worked, but we did have to seek it out. So we had to go and find the chargers and work it. And there's the problem. That's not a reflection of the car. I'm just up on 996 kilometers at the wheel of this car. And I still think it's one of the better cars to drive on the market at the moment. It's one of the very few seven-seat cars that I can think of that are actually here. And it's got a big boot, it's got a decent sized back seat in 5-seat mode, it's got a very small back seat in 7-seat mode, but then they're occasional, that's what they are really, they're occasional seats. They're not, I don't think they're meant to be like the full-time seat. It's easy to park, it's handy enough to drive, it's lively to drive as well. 0 to 60, 0 to 100 kilometers an hour, 0 to 62 in this is dealt with in something like 7 seconds. The 350 is dealt with in 6 seconds, 6 something seconds. Now that's a big car for that kind of moving and shaking. There is a 2-wheel drive version of this car. It's probably the one I plump for because the price of this yoke, hope you're sitting down, is 75,000 euros. That's a lot of money. In anyone's book, that's a lot of money for any car. Now I know it's a Mercedes brand car, I know I get it, and there's a little premium for that, but it's still a lot of money, right? Another yoke I want to point out is this has active cruise control on as well, and active lane keeping, lane assist, keeps you in the lane the whole time. And I don't think a modern car should be sold without it. In actual fact, I was on a Toyota Aygo X launch last week, seems like months ago now, but I think it was last week, and that comes as standard on that car. But it's not standard in this car, it's an option, just so you know, and I would spec it for sure. Now, one drawback of the active lane keeping is that it's very naggy. It prods and pushes you to get back in your lane, put your hands back on your wheel. That's always on at you, always. And I might be able to prove it along here if I turn it on. So if I just go up here to 50 kilometers an hour, so we go 60 kilometers an hour on Ferrari. So we go up to 60 kilometers an hour here, and I'm going to keep both my hands on the wheel. But you will see, because of my light touch, you will see the car will start nagging me about putting my hands on the wheel, even when my 2 hands are on the wheel. Most noticeable on the motorway, obviously. So we're cruising along here. You hear how quiet the car is. NVH here is dead silence. Even that car passes by there. Total silence in here. Now, electric cars, they made a lot of sense a few months back. The price increase at public charge points, the price increase of electricity and gas at home, the gap has narrowed a little bit. It's narrowed a little bit. If you were to exclusively charge this at a public charge point, you probably wouldn't be far off the price of diesel at a charge point as well, you know, at a petrol station. An efficient diesel, a good efficient diesel at 5 litres per 100 kilometres versus this at 19 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometres on a public charge network would probably be about the same, if I'm honest with you. But on a private network at home, driving and using a home charge point, you'll be fine. We just passed an 80 now. The car will increase in speed here on its own, up to 80 kilometers an hour. There we are, she's rested at 80. A couple of other little features as well. I can pull some toggles here behind the wheel. So if I pull this one, it goes into -D. -D is effectively one pedal driving, nearly. It's a bit unpredictable at times, a little bit unpredictable at times. There's the nagging now. My hand is on the wheel and I am steering, and it's still nagging me the whole time about straying out of my lane. There it goes again, 2 hands on the wheel now. It's constantly doing that. I'm not doing that, it's just doing that on its own. Just about to take over to 1,000 kilometers driven. It's 999 kilometers. Nearly there. That's 15 hours and 45 minutes of driving I've done in this car on pure electric mode. I am saving the planet. I feel like such a superstar. So let's go out on the motorway and we'll give it a little motorway blast as well, just to prove we can do it. Floor it. 100% effort from the car and it's flying up this hill here. We're up to 100 kilometers an hour. Now we're past over the threshold of 120. I can guarantee you, if you sit on the motorway at 120 kilometers an hour, you will not get anywhere next or near the range that they promise. Nowhere near it. Because the wind resistance, the force of the air pressing against the car to stop it moving forward, really increases over 100 kilometers an hour. The most efficient place to sit for any car, not just electric, but any car, the most efficient place to sit is in its sweet spot. So it's usually around 55, 60 miles an hour or 100 or 105 kilometers an hour. Somewhere in that region, you will find a comfortable spot. This car spot is 104 kilometers an hour. Just seems to be most efficient. There's the nagging thing. I'm holding the bleeding wheel and it's still doing it. Now that means that your journeys are longer. It takes longer to get places. You better not be in a hurry when you set off because it takes longer to get there. Worth to mention, this has Apple CarPlay, Android Auto. It has all of the usual mod cons and they work very well. It also has auto air conditioning that will come on and it'll cool your car down. It does a very good job at all of these things. Would I buy it at 75 grand? No, I don't think I would. But I don't need 7 seats. I don't need an SUV or 4-wheel drive. I could make do with quite a small little electric car. There's actually nothing really on the market right now that would suit me electrically that I would want to buy, that I would really want to buy outside of the premium brands. The only couple of ones that stray into it are Tesla Model 3. I like that. I also like Model Y is not bad, but Model 3 I might have. But I'd also wouldn't mind driving ID3 or ID4, especially the GTX one. They're not bad cars to drive, and I think the ID4 is one of the handsomest electric cars on the market at the moment. This is very good. This is very efficient. It's very premium. It feels like a car you want to spend a bit of time with. Whether I'd actually spend time on it or not, I'm not sure. I spent 1,000 kilometers driving it and I like it. But do I like it more than a Skoda Enyaq or do I like it more than the EV6? I don't know. My top kind of 4 cars at the moment, I'm going to reveal in another video. My top 4 electric cars. That's what I'll do. I'll do another video on that. It's the best way of doing it. So let's try and sum up the whole car if I can. It's good to see another choice of electric car in the market, it really is, and I applaud Mercedes for doing exactly that. That was a great idea, to have another electric car in the market. Where I would rather see a ground up electric car rather than a converted one, because I find my knees are too high and I find the floor is too high inside and I find to raise the back seats a bit, so you just get less space in it. But there is enough room in this for all the kids and the adults. You know, you would get 4 adults in this comfy enough and a couple of kids in their last row there. And for general trundling about and being an SUV style car, instead of having a big diesel yoke outside the schools of a Monday morning, you've got an electric car. It's a big electric car, plenty of room in it. Like, you're going to get 460 litres of space in that boot in there with the seats down, so in 5-seat mode. And when you need it, you've got 2 extra seats. Cyclist. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. I hope you have hit the subscribe button during this video at some point, that have added value to your life somehow or another. Hopefully you will stick around for another few videos. Share it if you like it. Leave a comment, please leave a comment. That's an important stuff. And hit the like button. They're all free things to do. They don't cost you anything. This is a free service we provide here. So they don't cost you any money to do any of that sort of stuff. So please do them things. And thank you very much for watching. And until the next time, I'll see you on the far side.